Welcome to another edition of Walnut Grove Cultural Conversations, where Stephen and I sit in front of this bookshelf and talk about things that are going on in the culture at large and process it through the eyes of two local pastors and hopefully help us as Christians engage and have a dialogue. Something that we were wanting to take a look at was the passing of Hank Aaron. How old was he when he passed?
86, I believe.
Yeah. So, talk about a legend, right? What's kind of interesting is when I think about baseball legends, you think about Babe Ruth, and I also think about the movie Sandlot, because I am a kid of the 90s, and you have that scene where Babe Ruth comes in and he says, "Legends never die, kid. Yep. Legends never die." Well, the guy who said that, his record was broken by Hank Aaron. And I think that that's such an interesting thing to talk about and look at his life and see some interesting things that we can take away, because he really did face an uphill climb. Yeah. He started out in the Negro League before he played in the MLB, and he started his whole career, played for years and years and years, and broke many records and things like that. So what are some things that, when we look at Hank Aaron, what we can take away is kind of the question. So,
well, first off, since you brought Sandlot in, I got to think Field of Dreams too, right? And even there, they kind of just fade into the corn.
Yes, they do. Yeah,
there's this theme in baseball movies where you don't die.
Yeah,
right?
That's true.
You just fade away. Gosh. But Henry Aaron, is oftentimes remembered for as much of what he did off the field as what he did on the field. This ambassador of baseball, this ambassador for the game, but also just for life, like how to be a good person. But the thing is, like, as Henry Aaron was going through his record-breaking season of breaking Babe Ruth's all-time home run record, this moment that should have been the pinnacle of his career, the joy of success, climbing the mountain, turns out was actually one of his hardest moments, hardest seasons of life, because he faced death threats. And even that moment when he hits the home run and there's these two guys that run on the field as he's rounding second base for third, I would think was even probably a scary moment, because what do these guys want? You remember that? Kind of that iconic picture? Was that before your time?
I mean, it's a little before my time, but yes.
Yeah. You weren't alive in the 70s?
Surprisingly, no. But yeah, I mean, crazy to think about.
But what I go back to is, the more I read, I'm starting a biography on Henry Aaron, but the more I go back to hearing his quotes of how he got through that, the application becomes something for us as well, because he said, I had to rely on God. Mm. And this guy who says, like, when I fell down on my face, God lifted me back up. Yeah. And so maybe your thing isn't facing segregation or death threats, but put it in our context of, we have to have that same attitude if we're going to get through this life well and be an ambassador, not just for a game, but be an ambassador for Jesus.
Yeah, I think some of the cartoon caricature of Christianity is this concept of, if you have Jesus, everything's great. That you're just blessed, and that you're on your way to a private jet. But the thing is like, the real promise of the Bible, the real promise of Jesus Christ, the real promise is that in the midst of life's storms, the anchor holds. In the midst of life's storms, there is this constant that God walks with you in that. Right. And that's kind of what we see in Hank Aaron's life, is even in the midst of turmoil and unrest and challenges and injustice, God stood firm.
And God was incarnate in that moment for him.
Yeah.
I love the difference. We oftentimes feel sympathy for people, and that's standing back with a distance between you and them and saying, like, I wish your situation was different, or I feel bad for your situation. Mm. But like you're saying, the message of the gospel is really empathy, where God says, I'm willing to feel what you feel, be where you're at, take on what you're taking on, as a way of transforming that.
Yeah.
Not some magical, rocket ship to outer space or to heaven.
Yeah.
But trusting God in the midst of the storm.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful picture of what we could have, what we could do, what we could aspire to achieving in our lives. When you see someone who has run the race well, the race of life, the race of faith, and you see that, see those kind of things lived out, it gives you hope.
Yeah.
And it gives you a, 2020 and into 2021, there's a lot of, layover from last year into this year. A lot of those struggles, sometimes it just feels like, oh, there's no way that we can get through this. But we look back at, pillars of faith, people who have done this before, and you say, okay, if they did it, we can do it. And I think that that's kind of a good message for us today as we face some of these life storms.
Yeah. I think it'd probably be a helpful exercise to look around right now. And you can see in the midst of all of these storms, like you said, of 2020 and into 2021, you're going to see people either get bitter or they're going to turn and rely on the one who is better. Mm. And Hank Aaron had every reason to turn bitter. Yeah. Right? With all of this injustice happening and all of this stress and not being able to stay at the same hotel as his teammates or just ridiculous stuff. But he doesn't get bitter. He turns and relies on the one who he found was this better foundation for his life. And gosh, that's what I hope can be said at the end of my life. Not that I got bitter, but that I turned to the one who's better. And
what's amazing about his life is he actually was better.
Yeah.
Quite possibly the best.
Maybe the greatest baseball player of all time.
And, that is a testament, right? That is a testament to a life well lived. So, applause to Hank Aaron. And, you said you were getting into a biography of his. Learn up on this man. Learn up about his life, some things, some different powerful things about a legend who will never die, right?
Well, it's crazy. As great as the applause was when he broke the record or, hit his home runs or surpassed 3,000 hits, which is like a huge milestone if you're a baseball player, the applause entering heaven was far greater.
Mm. Yeah.
And that's where the hits didn't matter, but the relationship with Christ did.
Yeah.
And so we can, thankfully, from this angle, we can still cheer him on, and be thankful for the model and the example. And we can go to the one he went to.
With all that being said, I hope you're all blessed. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and share this out. Have a conversation in the comments below about, some impact that, Hank Aaron or his influence on you and the impact that he's had on your life as a figure, a sports figure, but much more. And we will see you guys next time. Much love and be blessed.
Cheers.
Cheers.